Automation. You may have already asked about doing something like this. You may not have known the term, but automation will change your life and it will make your projects significantly interesting, more interesting. We've already made some really cool sounds, but we've discovered even cooler sounds by just being able to change things in real time, change these settings in our plugins. But we haven't been able to program them to be changed over time in our piece. We've just been able to mess with them live. So automation is what lets us do this. In order to see our automation parameters, we have to change our view so we can change what we see. And so under here, the view menu on the arrange window, we say select track automation, and whew, look what changed. Now for each track we see, oh, this says volume, and I've got this line across here. So let's see what happens here. This is really a rubber band. Okay, it's not really a rubber band, but it's what we call a rubber band, and it's really like a rubber band. We can click on it to make points as if we're just tacking down a part, and then it automatically interpolates between those points, or our rubber band stretches between the points. And so I can click this and drag here. I can click right on it to make another point, and drag the region to drag an area around. If I want to click right on there and make another point, maybe I'll want to have this be kind of low but in the middle, make another point up here. And let's see here, I click the point again to get right in on it and click it again to make it disappear. So this is how we can, for instance, we're automating volume right here. We can make our sound fade in. Now let me make sure, let me unmute this track, and actually I'll solo it. Instead of muting all these guys, I'll solo this, which means only listen to this track or any other tracks that happen to be soloed. Okay, so we'll play it and it's fading in. Ooh, and it dips out. Sometimes you can write it in really quickly on the fly. Okay, maybe not the most interesting, but boy, we're getting there. So this was our source sound, and it's maybe not the most interesting anyway. So let me take this key slap here, and I'll solo, well, I'll just mute the other one here. So let's listen to our key slap sound. Okay. Yeah, that's, interesting in itself, and we've done some neat effects to it. But let's make some multiple copies. I've done copy and paste before. Now this is a very normal trick. You hold down the Option key and drag, and you can make a bunch of these all together. And okay, so I'll make a bunch of them. I will automate the volume, and let's see, I could make them fade in over a couple. So I'll pick this, and then I'll click right on the line to make a new point, and I'll fade in over a couple. See, I'll hold down Option again, and ooh, this is an interesting question. If I've copied something and there's automation data there, it asks me if I want to preserve what I've done or not. Right now it doesn't matter, but if I start putting in gestures where the volume control or some other things that we've automated are really part of the identity of the sound, maybe I do want to copy that stuff with it. I just want some more copies. Okay, so now we've got it faded in, but it's still not going to be that interesting. Listen. Okay, fades in, but then, okay, there's some little bit of changes with timing that we might start to think, is this interesting? Is this a significant part of our piece? But after a few repetitions, we start to get what I call the typewriter effect. We start to feel like there's a monkey pushing a button, or somebody done copied and pasted on me. And as soon as we realize that as an audience, we turn off. We realize that, okay, well, somebody didn't even sit and listen to this maybe, or they haven't paid attention to all these different copies. There's no detail here. We're just listening to endless copies. One thing we can do to avoid that typewriter effect is to introduce slight variations in things. And one thing that we're very receptive to is slight variations in loudness. And so let me just, I'm somewhat randomly and delicately putting in some volume changes here. Make a new one and put this right here. Let's listen to this. So it fades in. It's still a little subtle, so maybe I want to bring out some more variety here in these. I don't want it to sound like it's, you know, really doing a Grover's near and far bit from me and running back and forth, but I want it to have a little bit of variety. That was too much. Okay, somewhere in between is probably going to be more natural, because if we were to continually slap our keys to the ground, it wouldn't always be at the same volume level. So we need to introduce some grit to make that happen. Okay, so let's leave that as it is. Maybe some of those dips were a little too much. So we'll fix that. Okay, now we've talked about volume. Well, let's see what else we can automate. Click the parameter here, and we can talk about pan. Oh, and we can see our volume contour here is still there. It's just changed color. Now I've got a new line here that's green, and it's going to be affecting pan. That's why it's in the center by default. Over here, well, which way is that going to be? Here, there's our positive numbers. Which way are these? So let's see. Say we'll start over here, and we'll gradually end up on this side. And straight lines are just boring. If there's a straight line there, you don't want to do anything but see what's at the end of it. So a trick I like to do is take 2 points, pin them down, just pinning it where it is so that we're not introducing any change, and we'll introduce some gradual lumps to these things. A jagged line, a ragged line is always a little bit more interesting. You know, like everything in nature, you're not going to find such a perfectly straight line in nature. Gotta click right on that line. And let's see, right before it goes all the way over to the other side, we'll have it. There we go. Have it dip back a little bit this way during the tail of that sound. That'll be kind of interesting. Okay, so it'll start, on the left side, right? Okay. That could also be cool. You could imagine this this sound, for instance, if we look at the pan of it. And let me just solo this track right here. Look at the pan of it and have it swoop from one side to another. Or maybe even one side to another and then quickly back to the center right for the end. Let's listen to this section. Okay, that's maybe a little too drastic. Okay, so you can get the idea there. And it's kind of neat that we can see multiple things at once. We can still kind of see our volume control in there, but it's not the easiest to see, right? It's just this dark line back here. So if we want to switch back to volume and make our change to our volume, we can do that here. Then we got to switch back to pan. Wouldn't it be nice if we could see both of them at the same time and edit both of them at the same time? And that's what this little triangle is for. Push the triangle, and all of a sudden, and it assumes that the next thing you might want to edit is pan. And so look, track 2, we've got volume and we've got pan that we're dealing with. And so we can see both of those things and edit them at once. Okay, if you want to, this could easily clutter up your screen. So if you want to collapse these things, just click the triangle again and it'll suck them up. And if you don't want to look at automation, you can just undo automation there, or notice the A key toggles looking at automation or not. So you may want to push A lot as you're working so you can deal with temporarily arranging your sound blocks and then going back in to do some automation. Let's see, there's no effects on this right now. Let me put some effects. I'll select this track and say delay designer. Just because it's the one we've been using. I'm still just going to use it for something fairly simple. We'll make one delay and we'll make it pretty short. I want to get rid of this sync, remember, and make it something really short, enable the feedback. I'm going to make this comb filter effect. Okay, we'll push play and ooh, I want to solo this track now. Go back to the beginning. Okay, that's my comb filter effect. A really short delay with really high feedback. Okay, so we can hear it moving back and forth. Now that we've got an effect on here, let's look at what we can automate. There's volume, there's pan. Oh, check this out. For every insert that we have, it gives us several different parameters that we can automate here. And so let me just mess with the feedback amount right now. And we'll start with it being pretty much nothing. And then gradually get up to near 0, but still slightly below 0, right? And maybe I want it to start getting to a useful range a little earlier. So yeah, I'll just do it this way for now. Okay. Something like this, I think. Okay, so we'll listen to this. It still has this delay on there, but it'll be so short that we won't hear it really until the feedback starts to fade in. So let's watch this. You hear that resonant tail get longer and longer? And maybe I did put that a little early, so we'll move it back a little bit. Listen to it one more time. Okay, and of course, as always, we could have this one look at volume, and if we want to see something else, we can make a new one that says pan, and oops, this one says pan, and click the triangle below it to make another one. And hey, it automatically picked feedback amount for us. It's pretty clever about this, but we could pick something else if we want to, like see, for each filter we can have 26, or sorry, each delay we can have 26 delays. We can enable or disable the filter, set the filter properties on it, change the transposition level. That might be interesting. So we could actually maybe work with automating the transposition level on some of these delays and gradually change the pitch motives we may have designed in Delay Designer. And let's see, then we hit the A key and we go back to just looking at our sounds again. And that is automation, and your life has been changed. If it hasn't, watch the video again and go through the steps and keep doing it until your life changes. You know, like it says in the syllabus, you got to spend time in the lab and experiment. Okay,